My name is James Richardson. I'm an associate professor of new media technology at LaGuardia Community College. Exploitation films are pretty much, I've been a big fan of those for like years. I remember growing up in the 70s, we had movies like Shaft, we had Three the Hard Way, Truck Turner, all the Coffee Brown, the Cleopatra Jones movies. And looking back, those movies worked pretty bad overall. But even now when I watch them, and I still do, there's kind of a fondness that you still have for them. Because without a lot of those movies, which at the time were kind of like the closest things that we had to like superhero films, especially like Three the Hard Way, with Fred Williamson, Jim Brown, Jim Kelly. That was pretty much the closest thing that like brothers like me had to like, black superhero films. They were over-the-top representations of who we were.
Gonna set me up?
Over the top. But, without those characters, without that type of extreme pro-blackness, you wouldn't have had some of the representation that you have today. It's almost impossible to mention black exploitation films from the 70s without Pam Grier's name popping up. Pam Grier was every young black kid's fantasy at that time. And it was most of her movies were really sexist.
Why don't you turn out the lights?
As a 53-year-old man now, looking back, a man who has, a daughter himself, it makes you a little uncomfortable. But without Pam Grier, you wouldn't have had almost any of the movies that you have now in terms of with black female empowerment.
This is the end of your rotten life, you motherfucking dope pusher.
You have to go through a Foxy Brown to get to like a Hidden Figures. During that whole Black Power phase, during the late 60s and early 70s, when there weren't a lot of Hollywood people basically representing black people, there were some black filmmakers like, Melvin Van Peebles, who's Mario Van Peebles' father, who took it upon themselves to create their own representations of who we were. But it was targeted for a very specific market, a market that was desperate for some type of reflection of who they were.